Hello, how's it going? Inside the forest mill today, working on some instruments. So it seems like a question I get about people about some of my instruments, and I've had people email me about other instruments they purchased, right? And one thing about it is that they always tell me, like, I've had people email me back before and say, hey, I got the instrument in and the bridge wasn't attached to the or broken. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, it wasn't attached to the instrument. And I'm like, well, it's not. And we know that it's not because in, I think it's 1842, they found one of the lyres in basically a German graveyard, and it was pretty much rotted. Most of the instrument was rotted. That's why they're not sure about the tailpiece, and most of the instrument body had teared away. But they found a bridge, and the bridge wasn't attached to the soundboard, right? It wasn't glued on or anything like that. They can tell. So we know for a fact that the bridge is not attached to a soundboard unless the internet's wrong. And like I said, you can't always believe everything you find on the internet. But they're pretty sure that it wasn't attached. So if you get an instrument from me or an instrument from somebody else, I take my bridges, and to keep from pressure crushing the instrument, I lay it down and I put tape across of it. And basically all you have to do is when you get the instrument in is remove the tape and stand the bridge back up and place the strings back into the little grooves right here. And once you do that, then you just slowly start tuning the instrument back up. Another common problem is that people will get them and they'll start tuning their instrument and they'll hear a sound like this. Hear that buzzing? Let me see if I can find one to do it better. Maybe a bright one. Hear that? That ear, unpleasant to the ear. 9 out of 10 times what's causing that is that the string's not seated properly in the bridge, or the hole in the bridge, in the nut, the bridge is not deep enough or wide enough and it's vibrating against the corner of it. Another thing that happens is that if you use the nylon strings, you see up here where they wrapping around the tuning peg, sometimes this string starts overlapping another string, and when that happens, it causes a buzzing sound. And the way to fix that is that you take your finger and you push down on that string just a little bit and try to get it off that other string, or at least try to get it seated properly right. And once you do that, you'll get a nice crisp sound. So that's usually it. I have seen nylon strings go faulty. I've had them, I use fluorocarbon, but I've also seen fluorocarbon strings stretch in and hold a tune, and then a day or two later start making a wonky like sound, right? Like it just don't sound right. And it's because it was a flawed string. So that's why I always add in a few extra strings in my instruments. But I hope that helps. The bridges on a lot of instruments you see, like harps and some of the King David lyres and stuff like that, the ones that are built like a harp where the string comes out of the soundboard, sometimes you will see a bridge seated or glued to the soundboard, but most likely it's a floating bridge. And you want a floating bridge. The reason why is that on a floating bridge, it controls the vibration length of the strings. And what I mean by that is, like, this bridge right here sounds like this at this distance. Now, if I move this bridge up 2 inches, it's going to be a higher pitch, a higher tone. If I move it back an inch or two, which you can't really do on these ones with the floating tail pieces, you can move it back a little bit and it extends the vibration length of the strings, so it's going to have a little lower tone, is what I'm saying. It just sounds different. So, but you might be playing with somebody that has a higher pitch instrument, and if you move your bridge up, you can get a better tone. If you move it back, you can get a lower tone. So I'm not really that up to music theory and stuff like that. Like I can play a ukulele and play some other instruments and stuff like that, but I'm not like some of these dudes that can read sheet music like a second language. I'm better at building instruments than I am playing them, but I do know what the instrument is supposed to sound like, and when I build one, I know if it's either a good one or a bad one. So anyway, I hope that helps. If you're interested in one of these, check out my Etsy store, The Forest Mill. You have a good one. Practice, practice, practice.